Learning English, the podcast.
Hey, English learners. Welcome back to the Learning English podcast, your go-to English podcast for learning English in a simple way. I'm Carol.
And I'm Edu. How are you doing today, Carol?
Honestly, Edu, I'm doing well, but I've been thinking a lot about something we both struggle with.
Oh, really? What's that?
Self-discipline, especially when it comes to studying. You know, sitting down, opening a book or a course, and actually doing the work.
Oh, wow. Yes, that hits close to home. I actually started an online course on project management 3 months ago, and guess how many lessons I've completed?
Let me guess. 2?
Exactly 2. Out of 20. And every week I tell myself, this week I'll catch up. But then the weekend comes, and I'm watching Netflix instead.
I totally understand that feeling. And here's the thing. This isn't just about you or me. I think almost everyone listening right now has felt this. You want to study English, you want to improve, you want to learn something new, but when the moment comes, you just don't do it.
Exactly. And that's what today's episode is all about. How to develop self-discipline in your studies. Not just motivation that lasts 2 days, but real sustainable discipline that actually works.
And this is not just an English lesson. This is also a life lesson. Because if you can build discipline in studying, you can build it anywhere. In your health, in your work, in your relationships.
Yes, discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And today we're going to share real strategies that we've tried. Some that worked, some that didn't. And hopefully by the end, you'll have a clear plan to start building your own study discipline.
And before we dive in, I want to remind you that at the end of this episode, we'll break down key vocabulary words with clear examples. So stay until the end because that's where your English really grows.
All right, let's begin.
Edu, can I be honest about something?
Of course.
I used to think I just wasn't a disciplined person. Like some people are born disciplined and some aren't, and I was in the second group.
Oh, I thought the same thing. I'd see people waking up at 5 in the morning to study and think, that's just not me. I'm not built like that.
Exactly. But then something happened that changed my perspective completely.
What happened?
I failed a certification exam, an important one for work. And it wasn't because the exam was too hard. It was because I didn't study enough. I kept postponing, kept telling myself I had time, and then the day came and I wasn't ready.
Ouch, that must have hurt.
It did, but it also woke me up. I realized that discipline isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And if I wanted different results, I had to build different habits.
That's powerful, Carol. And I think a lot of people need to hear that. Discipline isn't a personality trait. It's a skill.
Yes, and like any skill, you can learn it, practice it, and get better at it. But here's the tricky part. Most people, including me, start in the wrong place.
What do you mean?
They start with motivation.
Oh, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. You watch a motivational video on YouTube, you feel pumped, you tell yourself, starting tomorrow, I'm going to study 2 hours every day.
And then tomorrow comes, and you study for maybe 30 minutes. Then the next day, 15 minutes, and by day 4, you're back to 0.
Exactly. Because motivation is like a spark. It's bright and exciting, but it doesn't last. Discipline, on the other hand, is like a steady flame. It keeps going even when you don't feel like it.
I love that analogy. So how do we move from spark to flame?
That's the big question. And honestly, it took me a long time to figure it out. But one thing that really helped me was something called the 2-minute rule.
The 2-minute rule. Tell me more.
It's simple. Instead of saying, I'm going to study for 1 hour, you say, I'm going to study for just 2 minutes.
2 minutes? That sounds too easy.
That's the point. It's so easy that you can't say no. Because let's be real, Edu. When you think about studying for an hour, your brain immediately resists. It feels heavy. But 2 minutes? Anyone can do 2 minutes.
True. So what happens after 2 minutes?
Well, most of the time, you keep going. Because the hardest part isn't studying, it's starting. Once you start, the momentum carries you.
So you trick your brain into starting.
Exactly. I used this when I was trying to study technical English for work. I told myself, just read one page, just 2 minutes. And you know what? Most days, I ended up reading for 20 or 30 minutes, but I never forced myself. I just made starting so easy that I couldn't fail.
That's genius. And I think this works because it removes the pressure. You're not committing to this huge task, you're just committing to showing up.
Yes, and showing up is everything. Because even on days when you only do 2 minutes, you still showed up. You still kept the habit alive. And that consistency, even if it's small, is what builds discipline over time.
I need to try this because honestly, I think one of my biggest problems is that I set these huge goals and then I feel overwhelmed before I even start.
Same. I used to do that all the time, and then I'd feel guilty for not reaching the goal, which made me want to avoid studying even more. It's a vicious cycle.
Exactly. But when you lower the bar, when you make the goal so small that it's almost laughable, suddenly it becomes possible. And possible feels good. It builds confidence.
Yes, and confidence builds momentum, and momentum builds discipline.
I love how this connects. But Edu, let me ask you something. Even with the 2-minute rule, don't you still have days where you just don't want to do it? Where you'd rather scroll on your phone or watch TV?
Oh, absolutely. And that's where environment comes in.
Environment?
Yes, your environment is more powerful than your willpower. And I learned this the hard way.
Tell me.
So I used to try to study in my bedroom. I'd sit on my bed with my laptop and I'd tell myself, okay, focus. But my bed is where I relax. It's where I watch series, where I scroll on Instagram. So my brain was confused. It didn't know if we were in work mode or rest mode.
Oh, I do the same thing. I try to study on the couch and then I just end up lying down and falling asleep.
Exactly. So I changed my environment. I started studying at the kitchen table. Just that small change made a huge difference. Because when I sat at that table, my brain knew, okay, this is study time.
That makes so much sense. It's like creating a mental trigger.
Yes, and it's not just about location. It's also about removing distractions. I started putting my phone in another room when I studied. At first, it felt uncomfortable. I kept wanting to check it. But after a few days, I didn't even think about it anymore.
I need to do that. My phone is my biggest enemy when it comes to studying. I'll open it to check one message and suddenly 30 minutes are gone.
Same. And here's the thing. Discipline isn't about having superhuman willpower. It's about designing your environment so that the right choice is the easy choice.
I love that. Make the right choice easy and the wrong choice hard.
Exactly. If you want to study more, put your books on your desk where you can see them. If you want to waste less time on your phone, put it in a drawer. It's all about friction.
Friction?
Yes, you want to add friction to bad habits and remove friction from good habits. For example, if I leave my English textbook closed on the shelf, there's friction. I have to get up, find it, open it. But if I leave it open on my desk to the page I'm studying, there's no friction. I just sit down and start.
That's such a practical tip. I never thought about it that way, but it's true. The easier you make something, the more likely you are to do it.
Exactly. And the opposite is true too. If you want to stop doing something, make it harder. I used to snack a lot while studying, so I stopped buying snacks. If I wanted something, I'd have to go to the store. And most of the time, I just didn't bother.
So you're basically setting up your future self for success.
Yes, because in the moment, when you're tired or distracted, you're not going to make the best decision. But if you set things up in advance, the decision is already made.
I love this. So we've talked about starting small with the 2-minute rule, and we've talked about environment. What else helped you build discipline?
Tracking.
Tracking, like writing things down?
Yes, I started keeping a simple study tracker. Every day that I studied, even if it was just for 5 minutes, I put an X on the calendar. And after a week, I had 7 X's in a row. It felt good.
Oh, I've heard of this. Don't break the chain, right?
Exactly. And it sounds silly, but seeing that visual progress was so motivating. I didn't want to break the chain. So even on days when I felt lazy, I think just took 2 minutes so you can put that X. And it worked.
That's the power of small wins. You're not just building a habit, you're building proof that you can do it.
Yes, and that proof becomes part of your identity. You start to see yourself as someone who studies every day. And once that happens, discipline becomes automatic.
Identity shift, I've read about this. It's when you stop saying, I want to study English, and start saying, I am someone who studies English.
Exactly, because when it's part of who you are, you don't need motivation. You just do it because that's what you do.
That's deep, and I think that's the difference between people who succeed and people who give up. The ones who succeed have made it part of their identity.
Yes, but here's the hard truth. Even with all of this, you're still going to fail sometimes.
Oh, I know. I've failed so many times.
Me too. And I think that's the part people don't talk about enough. Everyone shows the success, the streak, the progress, but nobody shows the days when you just didn't do it.
Exactly, and those days happen. Life gets busy, you get sick, you're tired, you're stressed, and you skip a day, then 2 days, then a week.
And that's when the guilt comes in.
Oh yes, the guilt. That's the worst part. You feel like you've ruined everything. So why even bother starting again?
Yes, and that's the trap, because discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about coming back.
I love that. It's not about never falling, it's about getting back up.
Exactly. I've restarted my study routine so many times, and every time I used to feel like a failure. But now I see it differently. Now I see it as practice.
Practice?
Yes. Every time you restart, you're practicing resilience. You're proving to yourself that you don't give up. And that's more valuable than a perfect streak.
Wow, Carol, that's a really powerful way to look at it. And it's true, because the people who succeed aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fail and keep going anyway.
Exactly. So if you're listening to this and you've tried to build discipline before and it didn't work, that's okay. You didn't fail. You just learned what doesn't work. And now you can try something different.
Yes, maybe this time you try the 2-minute rule. Maybe you change your environment. Maybe you start a tracker. Maybe you shift your identity. There's no one right way. You just have to find what works for you.
And be patient with yourself, because building discipline takes time. It's not going to happen overnight.
No, but if you show up, even just a little bit, every day, you will see progress. And that progress will build on itself.
Yes, and before you know it, studying won't feel like this huge effort anymore. It'll just be part of your day, like brushing your teeth.
Exactly. You don't need motivation to brush your teeth. You just do it. And that's what we want with studying. We want it to become automatic.
And it will, if you're consistent, if you're patient, and if you're kind to yourself along the way.
Beautifully said, Carol. So to everyone listening, here's your challenge. Don't try to change everything at once. Just pick one thing from today's episode. Maybe it's the 2-minute rule. Maybe it's changing your study space. Maybe it's starting a tracker. Just pick one thing and try it for 1 week.
Yes, just 1 week and see what happens, because small changes lead to big results. And who knows, maybe 1 year from now, you'll look back and realize that this was the moment everything changed.
I hope so. And remember, you don't need to be motivated. You just need to be committed.
Perfect. And now let's move to the vocabulary breakdown. Edu, we used some really interesting words today.
Yes, let's break down the key vocabulary so everyone can understand and use these words in their own lives.
Edu, let's start with self-discipline. This means the ability to control your actions and make yourself do things even when you don't feel like it. For example, it takes self-discipline to wake up early and study before work.
Next, we have procrastination. This means delaying or postponing something you should do. For example, I kept procrastinating on my project and now it's due tomorrow.
Then we have consistency. This means doing something regularly over time without stopping. For example, consistency is more important than intensity when building a habit.
Another important word is friction. In this context, it means resistance or difficulty. For example, putting my phone in another room adds friction to the habit of checking it constantly.
We also talked about accountability. This means being responsible for your actions and sometimes reporting your progress to someone else. For example, having a study partner gives you accountability.
Next, we have willpower. This is your mental strength to resist temptation and stay focused. For example, it takes a lot of willpower to say no to distractions.
Then we have habit stacking. This means adding a new habit right after an existing one. For example, after I drink my coffee, I study English for 10 minutes. That's habit stacking.
We also mentioned identity shift. This means changing how you see yourself. For example, I had an identity shift when I started calling myself a learner instead of someone who wants to learn.
Another key word is momentum. This means the strength or force that keeps something moving forward. For example, once I started studying every day, the momentum made it easier to continue.
And finally, relapse. This means going back to an old behavior after trying to change. For example, I had a relapse and stopped studying for 2 weeks, but then I started again.
So those were our key words for today. Try using them in your own sentences. Practice makes perfect.
Absolutely. And thank you all for joining us today. This was a powerful conversation, and I hope it helps you build the discipline you've been looking for.
Yes, remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about showing up. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep building that discipline one day at a time.
We'll see you next time on the Learning English podcast. Until then, stay consistent, stay committed, and remember, you are capable of more than you think.
Your progress doesn't end here. Click on the next video or explore the additional videos we've selected for you.